Welcome to this episode of Learning Fusion. In today's episode, we're going to go over the camera tracker one more time. And this time we're going to track an object like a human face instead of camera tracking for the actual camera position. So let's roll this intro and let's get into it.
We're learning fusion together. We'll learn 2D stuff and 3D stuff and particle stuff and compositing stuff, deep pixel stuff and tracking stuff, but not other stuff, but some other cool stuff, cause we're learning fusion together.
So here we are in Fusion and we've got some media and we want to track this person's face. And to be honest with you, this isn't too realistic of something you would really be doing, because if we really needed to track a person's face to do something within Fusion, she would probably have a bunch of tracking markers all over her face during the shoot. But this is just stock footage and something fun to play with. But sometimes you do have to do this for various things. But like I said, it's not too realistic, because anytime you want to track a person's face, hands, or whatever you're tracking, you really want tracking markers so we can really track that correctly. Anyway, let's get into actual tracking this. Now, one thing we want to remember is we're not tracking for camera position, meaning we don't care about where it is in the world. All we care about is her face. And there's a few things we want to block out for this camera tracker so we're not getting bad tracks. And I really don't care too much about getting a perfect track, and I'll explain more on that here in a second. But what we want to do is we want to kind of mask off what we want to track, which is her face, and then we want to get rid of her eye movement and her mouth movement. That way it's not interfering with our tracks. So let's go ahead and do that first. And the way I would do that real fast is we can just take an ellipse and we can make ellipses around everything. But we can also track this stuff, so this is a lot easier for us. So with a regular tracker, so shift space, tracker, we're going to add a regular tracker here. And with this tracker, I'm going to just track the corner of her eye. I'm not going to track her eye because she closes it and her eyeball's moving around. I'm just going to track this. And we're going to name this eye left. I know it's her right eye, but it's my left. And we're going to add another one. In this one, we're going to track her right eye. And we'll name this eye underscore R for eye right. We're going to add one more, and I want to track her mouth because she's moving her mouth. But I don't want anything on her lips that are actually moving, so our little ellipse isn't bouncing around. I'm going to track something by her mouth so I can attach that ellipse. So something up in here, maybe. And I'm just going to name this mouth. So there we go. We've got 3 tracks going, and I'm just going to track forward. And beautiful, we've got tracks. And I really don't care if these are perfect because I'm just attaching little masks to this. So we can go ahead and disconnect this tracker, throw it off to the side. Now what I want to do is I want to attach this ellipse to that tracker. But if you remember, if we attach it, it's going to attach here. And honestly, you could do offsets and all that other stuff, but I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have issues, especially when you have multiple ones. These offsets aren't going to work the way you want. So the easy way to do this is we can just bring in a multi-merge, and on my ellipse, let me go ahead and just shrink this down-ish to where I want it. And on my ellipse, I'm going to add a transform, and it's automatically going to go into the little mask. I'm going to reconnect it to my transform input. And my transform, I'm going to go to my center, connect to, and I want to connect to my eye left position. So now my transform's connected to that. So if I look, you can see our transform's connected, but we need to be able to see what's going on with our little ellipse here. So let's bring in a background. And it's not what I wanted. Get rid of that merge. I'm going to bring this background in so we can see our little eyeball there. And for the time being, let's merge our footage into our little multi-merge here. so we can see what's going on. Now I've got that attached to her little eye. So now all I have to do really is take my ellipse and just move my ellipse to where I want it. And there we go. We've got it attached to her eye, and I can get this a little better if I want. So it's covering her eye, and I'm good to go. So I can just Control C, Control V, copy this ellipse. Let's add another transform, and again on the input, and I'm going to bring this into my multi-merge, and on this transform, I want to bring a background in, bring my transform into my background into that. There we go. Now I can take my ellipse and move this to this eye, and I probably should attach this first. So go to my transform, right click, connect to eye path right position. Now I can grab my ellipse and move it down. So now we've got both those eyes covered. And we can do one more, and I technically could have done one background down here, but we'll go with this. So Control C, Control V, and this is going to be our little mouth, and I'm going to bring a transform in, connect that in, bring a background in, connect my background into my multi-merge, and on my transform, go to my center, connect to mouth position, go to my ellipse and move my ellipse, and I can make this a little larger, bring it down because I want to cover where she opens her mouth so there's no shadows going on. So there we go. We've got all that covered. And in essence, what we're doing is if I go to my multi-merge and I look at our little mask here, we're creating masks, and we're going to invert this at the end, but we're creating a mask to what we do and don't want to track with a camera tracker. That's what we're doing right now. So realistically, we want one more just so we only have her face in there. So let's grab another ellipse here. And I'm going to shrink this down so it's just covering her face. And I'm going to try to keep some of that hair out. I know she's moving, so we're going to lose some of that area, but I'm just going to try to get her face there. And I could do another track to maybe track the center of her nose, but I'm just going to grab one more transform, bring this in, and on this transform, let's grab one more background, bring this in, bring this into our multi-merge, and on this transform, I'm going to right click, I'm going to connect to her mouth position again. And let's go to our ellipse and change our ellipse location. And on this ellipse, we're going to hit invert. So there we go. Now we're just tracking her face area. And it does go off a little bit when she turns her head right there, but that's fine. We're good. We've got enough info to be able to track her face. So let's bring this down and let's see what we got here. So on our merge, here's our little mask, but if you notice, it's backwards. So to be able to fix that, all we got to do is we can get rid of our merge here, and we're going to add an invert. So if we go to our invert color here, we can just uncheck all this stuff, and we're going to invert our alpha. So now our alpha is correct. So if we go to our media, add a camera tracker, you're going to notice we can't input this invert color into our little mask area. It doesn't work that way. So after our invert color, we're going to add a bitmap. And of course, it added it to the effects mask. So now on our bitmap, we're creating a little alpha. So that's our alpha. And we just have to bring this into our camera tracker. So now if we go to our camera tracker, we hit auto track. You can see it's only tracking within that little area. It's ignoring everything around, ignoring her eyes and her mouth. So there we go. Now on our camera tracker, we're just going to go ahead and hit like 1.8, maybe bring this down. And let's auto track and see if we get a bunch of points. And we do. So we've got a whole bunch of points on our face to be able to track. So I'm going to go to options and turn my trails off. And we're going to go to the solve, and under our solve options here, I'm going to drop this to 1.8 just so we're not solving for some big stuff. Because like I said, we're going to get a very bad track. But I don't care about tracking the camera location against this back wall to know exactly where the camera is. I'm just trying to track all this information on her face. And I really don't care if it's bad or good tracks, as long as I have a point cloud to be able to see where her face is. So I'm going to go ahead and solve, and I'll be back. So there we go. We've got a decent track, and not too decent. It's an error of 1.6. But like I said, we've got all these points on her face, and this is really all we care about. Now, I would go through and clean up some of this stuff, like in her hair and everything. We can go through and we can delete all this stuff if we want. Go frame by frame, and we can clean it all up. But we can also clean up the point cloud once we export this out as well. So I'm going to leave all these instead of going through little by little, because like I said, I would get rid of all this stuff that's in her hair, because I don't want those points. I just want points that's on her face. I don't even care about her neck. So all these I would delete. But again, I'm not resolving to get a better solve, because I really don't care about this solve. I just want these points. So with that said, let's go ahead and export. So we're going to go to our scene, and we're going to select unaligned, and we're just going to select something on our nose there. Hit set from selection. And I don't care about a ground plane. So I'm going to select aligned, and then under my export options, I'm going to uncheck ground plane, because I just want my camera, my point cloud, my render, and my image plane. So export. So we've got our little 3D stuff down here now. And if I look at our 3D merge, you can see it created this little point cloud system. And let's actually go camera. You can see we've got our little point cloud on her face. But we can go to this point cloud, turn it to point, and I'm going to leave this large right now. And you can make it as small or as big as you want. But I'm going to leave it pretty large so we can see all these points we want to delete. So while I'm selected on my point cloud, I'm going to go through and I'm just going to start deleting some of these points to clean it up, to get rid of stuff I don't want, because all I care about is having a kind of ish of where her face is. So all these can go away. And all I'm doing is selecting them and hitting the delete button. And if I go to my camera, I can go to my left view, and let's zoom in here so we can see what's going on. And I can take all this stuff, select it, and just delete it. So it's cleaning some of that stuff up. I don't care about that. You can see we kind of have a face there. And you can see what's happening. All of our point cloud stuff is staying in position, and what's happening is our camera is moving with that image plane in the background. So any assets we put, all we have to do is place them where we want, leave it. We don't have to animate it. It's automatically going to be animated. Let's go to perspective so we can see what's going on. Let's zoom in here. There we go. You can see what's happening with that camera. So anything we want to clean up in here, we can clean up. But that looks fairly decent, and I'm really not too worried about all the rest of that stuff. So let's go back to our camera. We can see what's happening. So as I push play, you can see our little points are stuck on her face. So we can see what's going on. And again, I can come in here and delete some of these points I don't want to clean up her face a little bit more. Now, I'm not going to export this out, but if you were exporting this out to, say, another program, a 3D program like Blender or something, so you could do stuff in that 3D program, you would definitely want to clean this up more so you can see that face shape and everything. And again, you would just add that replicate with the shape, plug it in your point cloud, and export in your little FBX like we did the other day when we exported to Blender. But we're not going to do that today. So we're just going to throw something on in our little Fusion area. And to be able to do that, all you have to do is plug stuff into your 3D. So I could add a shift space text 3D node, bring that in, and on my text 3D, I'm just going to type, I don't know, face. If I push play, we've got our little 3D there. And I could even go to our perspective to make sure our little face is properly situated there. So I could bring it up a little bit if I want it in the front of her face. We could add some extrusion there. Let's change this color. And let's actually go to shading and let's bring down the alpha. So now if I go to our render mode, you can see, there we go. We've got face stuck there on her face. And I could go to my 3D text and transform it however I want. So I could bring it down. I could bring it back in space a little more if I wanted to. But you can see it's off. And that's because if we go to our 3D mirror, we brought it all the way back here. So we really want that on her face so we can see what's going on. And it's actually stuck to the same location as her face. So now if we go back, now you can see it's stuck to her face properly because we did it correctly within the little 3D world. And you could add whatever you wanted to this. We could even, if we really wanted to, we could, what's she saying there? Looks like she's saying no. No. Yep, she's saying no. So let's go there. We're going to grab a particle emitter, particle renderer, and our renderer, we're going to make sure we're using 3D. Let's go ahead and bring this in. And I know I haven't gone over particles yet. We will go over particles, but we can bring that in. And on my text 3D node, actually, I'm going to use regular text, but let's go ahead and set this up. So let's go to our 3D world, and you can see we've got our little particle emitter going on right there. You can barely see it. That's our little particle emitter. And what I want to do is I'm going to make our particles say no and come out from her face. So let's go back here and let's animate some of this stuff. No. Where is she saying? Maybe she's saying more. But we'll go here and pretend she's saying no. So on our emitter, we're going to slam this down to 0. Keyframe it. Go here. Just make this 1. On our style, we're going to use a bitmap. That gives us this little bitmap input. And I'm going to grab a text. Input our text. In our text, I'm going to say no. So she says no. And then stops. No. Go to my emitter and check that back down to 1. Go back 1. And I'm going to make this one 0 so it shuts off. So there we go. We've got her saying no. Now we just need to get these particles where they belong and make it look like it's coming towards the camera maybe. So let's go to our velocity and let's just put 2. Let's do let's do 0.5. Do a variance of 0.25. And that's way too fast. So 0.1. 0.1. There we go. We got her saying no. So let's go ahead and go to our style and we'll to change the size so our nose are a little bigger. Change our size variance up. Then we're going to go to our region and actually let's go to our controls here and let's go to our merge and let's fix how this is coming out there. So it's kind of going in the wrong direction. If we look, you can see our velocity is going in the wrong direction there. So we can change our emitter and let's change our angle. Oops, let's change our Z angle to 90. We'll change the variance to 30. So now if we push play, it's going towards camera. There we go. So now if we look, no is coming towards the camera. But now we just got to get that no coming from her mouth. So we can go to our little particle emitter, go to our region, and we can change our location so it's coming out of her mouth. So there you go. She's saying no and it's floating towards the camera. And let's go ahead and change some of these style colors up. So color controls, let's do color over life. Let's go from, I don't know, orange to a purple. There you go. So we tracked her face, added some stuff in the 3D world. We even did some particle stuff, which we will soon get to. So have fun playing with it, and I will see you in the next episode.